Hi, besties. Guess what time it is? Day 2 of our self-made advent calendar. All right, here we go. Day number 2. Here's our pouch. Let me just put this aside. Maybe fix my shirt a little bit. There we go. All right, let's see what we're working with today. I'm going to look away. You guys have a peek. I'm going to feel around for a card. There we go. And it is camel and silk. Ooh, that's so pretty. Oh, you know what I want to do with this? I want to dye it. Oh, it's so pretty. But I like the natural colors too. You know what? We're not dyeing it. Nope. Nope, not going to do it. So we got 25 grams of this beautiful, cushy, soft, luscious fiber. Now, camel can be like yak in that the fibers are really short and the silk is really long. So the best way to spin this is going to be 2-ply. I still want to dye it. Oh, I had a thought. I know, we're all terrified now. A thought? No, shut that down. Why don't we look at what happens when you dye the fiber before spinning and you dye the fiber after spinning? So I'll take my 25 grams. I'll split this in half. And then we'll spin this half first. Once it's spun and plied, then we'll dye it together with the unspun fiber, and then we'll spin the unspun and then compare the two skeins at the end. What do you think? Well, it doesn't really matter because by the time you see this, I've already done it. All right. So first thing I got to do is I got to make this into a yarn. So I'm going to spin from the fold and chain ply it because that'll be the quickest. Let's get spinning. So here we have half of our 25 grams all spun up into a nice chain ply. It's got this beautiful consistent golden color that I like, but we're going to change that. So I'm going to take this and put it around the outside of the pot. Now I took this chunk of roving, split it in half, so there's kind of the join. And we're gonna put that in the middle, and we'll do a 2-color dye. So one half of the pot will be one color, the other half of the pot will be another color. But the first thing we need to do is soak our fiber. Now, sorry about that. That was probably hard on the ears. Now, because there's silk in here, this is my dish soap and water spray. I'm just going to give this a spritz because I find that it really does help that fiber absorb the water quicker. The silk, anyways. All right, let me get the water running. Okay. Got my tools. Bobo is on the crazy train, so if you hear thundering, it's just him running around. All right, so this is hot water. We're just gonna push that down. You can see how the silk is hydrophobic. Add a little bit of soap and look at that. See, look, push that down, pops back up. Little bit of soap, push it down, stays down. See how cool that is? I don't know why it works, I just know it does. And a little bit of soap in your dye bath doesn't hurt. Okay. So, while that soaks, we're going to use amethyst purple and sunshine yellow. So, we don't need much. I'm going to grab my 1/8 of a teaspoon, which is my most commonly used spoon, as you can tell by the staining on it. All right, we're going to go with the yellow first and give it a little bit more time to dissolve because this one just loves to stay in suspension and I don't know why. All right. Let me get some hot water. Well, hello, Latte. What's up, my baby? All right, so here we go. I did 1/8 of a teaspoon and 1 cup of hot water. All right. I'm going to plop our whisk on there. Where's my spoon? There it is. All right, so we're going to pour it onto this side of the fiber. See, look at those chunks. I don't know why the yellow always does that, but it does. All right, now we're going to mix up our purple. Going to do the same thing. 1/8 of a teaspoon in a cup of water. This is the amethyst purple. So pretty. All right. 1/8 of a teaspoon. And let's go and add some hot water and mix it up. Now, I really should have used boiling water for the yellow. I know better. Did I do it? No. Because that's how I roll. I got it frothy. Oh well. All right. Let's turn our pot and add our purple. Frothy and all. Okay, then we need some citric acid. I may have to get more of this. think I'm running low. All right, I'm just going to sprinkle that over the top. This is a very slapdash way of dyeing. Probably going to make a mess of it, but that's fine. We're experimenting. All right. Oh, I think that amethyst is just going to take over everything. Okay, I'm going to pop this on the stove and get it heated up to just below a boil, and we will come back when it's done. And our dye bath is exhausted. See? I know, it doesn't look it, but it has. So because this is such a fine fiber, and I'm such a ham-handed person, I'm going to keep it in the basket for the salad spinner. So there's our fibers. We're going to stick them in their bath. Push it down gently and let that soak. And that again is the Pert Plus bath. It's a little bit of dye coming out. Give it a bit of a swoosh. Actually, I think it needs a little bit more water. There, that's better. Yeah, that works better. All right. Can you see the color of the water there? There's a little bit of dye in there. I probably could have let it sit a little while longer, but I'm impatient. See, this is why it's in the basket. I cannot leave it alone. I'm terrible that way. All right. So, quick wash. Give it one more swoosh. And then we're going to rinse. And we'll just make sure the water comes clear, which it should. What an interesting color. Definitely that amethyst purple overwhelmed the yellow, but we do have some nice spots of yellow in the fiber. So that should turn out cool. Yeah, it's coming out nice and clear. All right, so I'll just finish rinsing this and I'll put it out to dry, and we will be back to spin up this fiber and then compare it to our already spun. Oh, but look, there is yellow in there. Ooh. Now remember, the Camel is brown, so it's going to take the color, the dye, differently than if it was a white fiber. So it is already going to be a muted, like a more muted color, but I think this is going to be fun. Okay, I shall see you when the fiber is dry and we're ready to spin. All right, our Camel and Silk is dry. Have a look at this. Look at those colors. It's so pretty. And the yellow turns into this golden color when it's over dyed on that brown camel. And the purple and the yellow kind of make like a gorgeous brown. Like this. This is so pretty. So that's the one that we spun and then dyed. But remember, we were playing around with this one, right? So here's the dyed fiber. We got some yellows and some purples. This purple here is more browny purple than this one. It's showing up way brighter on the camera. and then some more yellowy orange. So pretty. So now we're going to spin this into a sample so we can then compare the difference between dyeing first and then spinning, and spinning first and then dyeing. So I'm going to start spinning this. Now, because the camel is so much shorter than the silk, I'm going to spin from the fold. Oh, look, as I open that up, look at those flashes of silk. It's amazing. So I will just chunk this up. It's a little cotted from the washing and the spinning and the handling. So I'm just kind of opening it up a little bit. Oh, look, I wonder if you can see this on camera. Look how the silk picked up blue more than purple. That is so cool. It's so much more tonal, I find, when you dye first and then spin. But we'll see if that comes through in the yarn. Let's get spinning. I'm so excited. And here we go, all spun up. A little bit of over twist, but when I'm chain plying, that's pretty common. And you can see how it's got different runs of color, and it's more marled in places. But it's so pretty. If we compare it to the spun first, dyed later, hold on, there we go. You can start to see the differences. There's a lot more marling in the dyed first spun than there is in the spun first dyed. The colors are more distinct. And they're very different. Even though they're the exact same dye lot, you can see how they come out so very different. I like both of them. This is usually my preference just because I like working with color. But again, they're both lovely. So I hope you enjoyed this little experiment on day 2. Here you can really see the differences in the skeins now. Remember, same dye bath. It'll be interesting to work these ones up too. But that is for February. For now, we're going to grab our baggie. Make sure our tag's in there. Right there. I'm going to pop this into the bag. Pop this. We're going to cram this into the bag. Make sure a tag goes in there. Pull her shut. Day 2. Done. I hope you're enjoying the Advent series, guys, and thanks so much for joining me. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.